I walk into Lil Peep's house, and Lil Peep's sitting on the couch with two girls under his arm. I was like, whoa, this is insane. Like, do whatever the fuck you want. That's my message. Do whatever the fuck you want. You never know how much time you're gonna have left, so do what you want to do.
How you doing, Chich?
I'm good. How are you, man?
Yeah, not too bad. How's your day been?
Day's been good. It just got started. It's like noon over here.
Tell us a little bit about yourself and what your sort of background is.
Okay, I'm Chich. I'm a fashion designer. I make clothes. I have my own clothing company. Went to school for a little bit, but I decided I actually wanted to do more of a creative route, so stopped going to school and just pursuing creativity now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, in your Instagram bio it says "wanna be creative." I like that.
That's
I like
what
that.
I am, man. I want to be creative.
Yeah. So how did you first get into fashion then, and how did you decide that that was the route that you wanted to take?
Fashion. Okay, so this dates back to like 2016, maybe. Freshly in college. Didn't know what I really wanted to do, but I was just going to school for the fuck of it, you know. Just the regular route everyone was taking.
Yeah.
Then started going on Instagram and started seeing this brand blow up. Everyone knows the brand. It's Supreme, you know. And I started seeing the culture that revolved around Supreme, and I was like fully intrigued in it. I was like, what is this? People are really like lining up, camping overnight in front of the store to get some clothes. And then I started seeing why people started doing that. You know, there's something to say about hype and like how shitty hype culture can get, but like the fundamentals of building that hype is really important, and it's like really cool that you could build a community around that. You know, like Supreme could really just drop a brick or like random accessories, and people will go crazy for that. And I don't know, that just piqued my interest.
Yeah. They really took the world by a storm, didn't they?
Yeah, they'll drop like really cool videos, really cool skate videos, really cool like marketing content. And like when I'm like shocked by a marketing content piece, I'm like, wow, like that's something worth buying because of that.
But they managed to encompass so many more people, not just the skate community. They managed to branch out and kind of set the wave for the next designers, didn't they?
Right. It's really cool because they'll like incorporate celebrities. Like they have like the celebrity tees, for example. And like it's corny when you like just go for a celebrity for your brand to like blow your brand up. But if you're doing it in a really cool way like Supreme did, it's like really cool. It's like
Yeah.
really, really cool.
And it gets your name out there, doesn't it?
Yeah. So there's benefits to it for sure.
Yeah. But let's go back to how when you were making this decision to stay in college or not. How are you feeling?
Man, college was rough. I was going to school for like the first I got through like 3 years. So I went to junior college for 2 years, got through that like piece of cake. I really enjoyed it actually. This was before all the fashion stuff, but I wasn't going to school for the right reasons. Well, that's arguable, but I wasn't going for the degree. I was going because I enjoyed going to school, meeting new people, having new experiences, learning new things like that. But when it came down to going to university, it got harder for me to go because I wasn't going to get the degree. So it was like, it seemed pointless. And I knew I wanted to do more than just work in an office or like get like a 9 to 5 job with the degree. So I had to do something else. I had to take the risk and try to do something else.
What did the people around you kind of think of that? Because it's becoming more common. It's becoming more common, but it's still unconventional or non-conventional. I don't know how to say that
Right.
word.
Yeah, in terms of like family, come from my family's Vietnamese, they're Asian. They're all about school, school, school. Go to school, be a doctor, whatever you need to do, make your money, live a good life. But as the time goes, the times change, and I think that people can still make a living and have a fulfilled life doing what they want and still make money off of it, you know? And I saw that on Instagram, so that was cool. I don't know. It was tough. It was tough getting them through that mindset as well, though. No.
So did you get them persuaded that it was the thing that was best for you, or?
I think they worry about me every once in a while and they see the lifestyle I'm living, but at the end of the day, I think my parents just want me to be happy. I think all parents at the end of the day want their kids to be happy, like at the end of it all, you know, and like as long as I'm fulfilled and happy, I think that's enough for them to be okay with the decisions I make.
Yeah, but for them, like their idea of success and being happy is quite different to what we've grown up with.
Right.
Um, they came from a much more traditional background where you always go to school and, well, at
Right.
least that's how they thought that you had to make it in life, or whatever that might mean. So it's almost strange to think from their perspective that, like, oh, I've had this son, I want the best for him, and now
Yeah.
he wants to do something completely different.
Yeah, okay, so the hardest part about it is you have to build this like protection around yourself so you don't get bombarded by outside forces or like what other people might think. Right? Even your family, which is hard to do. That's like a really big pressure. But as long as you know from within yourself that what you're doing makes you happy, you know, like that's how you're supposed to live life. You know, you can't live your first 45 years trying to fulfill what your parents want for you, because like at the end of it, it's your life, and like you're gonna miss out on a lot of things that you wanted to do. You know, so
Mm,
like I try my best to keep them happy and show them that I'm working hard for something, but at the same time I can't like break and do exactly what they want. I can't follow that formula.
mm. It's a tough situation to be in. So when you
Yeah, yeah,
made
yeah.
that decision, when you decided that university wasn't for you, what were the first steps that you were taking?
That first initial time was difficult because you just drop out of school. You're like, well, now I have to survive. You know, my parents are not going to support me the same way they did when I was going to school. First steps I was making though, it was an easier transition for me because I started to meet people in the community before I left college. So like I already had friends and like I was already into the Instagram thing before I left college. So it wasn't like I just fucking dropped out of school and then like was looking around frantically, you know?
Hmm. So once you kind of met your friends, and well, actually, how did you meet them? Did you just meet them through school?
Yeah, actually, it's a funny story. As I was getting into the Instagram thing, I was following people like Ray's Corrupted Mind when he was first coming up, and he became Travis Scott's photographer. And I was like, wow, like he would always post on his stories about how he just came from a little town or like got this big opportunity just because he tried, and now he's like doing all this crazy shit going on tour with Travis Scott. So I picked up a camera, one of my old cameras that I had like when I was in high school. Started taking photos of my friends, you know, put on our Supreme outfits that we just got in the Supreme line, take a photo, like edit it, make it look cool. And then I met someone named Charlie Shuffler, who's a renowned producer in this underground scene. He produced a lot of songs for Lil Peep, Lil Tracy, the emo rap scene. And I saw him at school, and I was like, before I even knew who he was, I saw him at school, and I was like, wow, that guy looks cool as fuck. He's wearing the coolest clothes I've ever seen, and we're just like at junior college, and like no one else dressed like no one else dressed like that at the time. This was like 2016, 2017. I was like, wow, that he looks really cool. And I went up to him and I was like, hey, like I swear I've seen you at like a show before, like a small underground show. There's like 12 people there, like 15 people there, like five performers and like 10 people in the crowd type of shit. I swear I've seen you there. You want to like take photos? I just started taking photos. He's like, yeah, let's take photos. And this was the last day of school. It was like right before I went to university. And we took photos. We had a great time. And then he told me like who he was. Yeah, I produced for Lil Peep, blah, blah, blah. I was like, whoa, that's really sick. And we started taking more photos. And then after a little while, he hit me up and he was like, hey, do you want to just get lunch today? And I was like, yeah, I'm down. So we just started hanging out as friends. And then like we became best friends after that. And then once I met Charlie, I met a lot of other people in the scene, and then it was history from there.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy how many people you can meet through other people.
That's what it's all about, really, though.
I mean, the way I know you now is through another person that I met through another
Hmm.
person. It's
Hmm.
it's so strange, and I think a lot of people undervalue the idea of it's not what you know, it's who you know. I never understood that. I never understood how can it be it's not what you know, it's who you know. How does that make any sense? Because if you don't know anything, then you're useless. But even people who know very little, as long as they've got the right connections, they can kind of fidget their way through.
Yeah,
Like you did, I guess. You kind of
yeah. I mean, it's a vicious cycle for sure. I mean, like
yeah.
people can work so hard for their craft and like not get any recognition at all. But it's really about who you know. And unfortunately, some people will live like far away from major cities like LA or New York, and they don't get the opportunities just to drive out to LA and like go explore and meet new people. But at the same time, we have the internet now, so
Yeah.
anyone can make it now.
Yeah, I guess so. I guess so. So
You
what's
just gotta
LA
put your
like?
best foot forward.
Yeah.
What's LA like? I live like 30 minutes away from LA, so I live in the suburbs in Orange County. Over
Mhm.
here, it's chill. I mean, there's not too much going on. The scene is thriving, but there's not like a lot of connections. Like you can't just walk out your front door and make a connection really quick. But when
Yeah.
I do go to LA, it's a lot of fun, man. We'll go to the studios, we'll hit the shopping centers, do all that fun stuff.
So
It's pretty hectic though. I can't lie. I'm getting a little older now, so I can't run around like these young kids are doing. You can literally be whoever you want in LA. Anyone, you can be anything you want.
hmm. So then when you can be anything that you want, how
Uh-huh.
do you make sure that you still stay true to yourself?
Um, as I got older, I just started to hone in on the things I valued. You know, like when I was younger, I was like hungry for clout. You know, like go to LA, like try to meet like the coolest, the people with the most followers, and like I'll eat off their clout or whatever. I'll get some clout from that. But I stopped valuing things like clout, and I started valuing things like friends, like genuine relationships and
Mhm.
genuinity, and that's how you stay true to yourself. You don't got to work with all the biggest people in the game. You got to work with the people who you're going to work best with.
I like that quote. It's a nice quote. Good way of putting it. Good way of putting it.
Yeah, thanks.
So what were the first sort of projects that you worked on?
Oh man, I when I started off as a photographer, some some notable projects that I did were shoot for like my local rappers, go to the local shows, film a little clip, make an edit of the show, recap or whatever. But I got some opportunities to work with a magazine called The Fader, and I shot Stephen Moses back in like 2018, and I shot Drippin' So Pretty last year for his thing, and I shot Charlie for his interview, which is pretty cool. I like doing that. I stopped taking photos as often. I'm more focused on the clothes now and other creative strategies like that. But that was like one of the first projects I got like going to LA.
Yeah. And how did you learn to do all that stuff?
Dude, I don't know what I'm doing. I'm gonna be honest, I have no idea what I'm doing. I just go out there and do my best. You know, I literally take the camera out there. I would take the camera out there, switch it to creative auto, put it on autofocus, and start taking photos. And people like them. I just put them in Lightroom, edited them the way I wanted to, and people liked them, and I got good feedback from it. But I'm by no means like a photographer at all. You know, I
That's
don't know
insane.
anything about photography actually. Just point
Nothing.
and shoot.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I give myself credit for basic skills like being able to frame a shot, you know, how I think would look good, or like angles, for example, things that don't require like technical skills.
How long did it take you to like develop them skills?
I don't, that's a hard question, honestly. When things got more pressured, like when I had no idea what I was doing and then they contracted me to do a fader shoot, I was like, oh shit, okay, well, can't fuck around on this one. And then I started like going to Instagram and finding inspiration from other photographers and realizing that, oh, a low shot looking up extends the legs out in a shot. And if they're wearing a certain type of pants that have like a flared bottom, you're going to want to do that so the flared bottom looks more accentuated, for example. So things like that, just like things that come and go, you just learn from it as you go.
Have you had any big mess ups or things where you were like, "Oh, let's not do that one again"?
Ah, I mean, like when you're in any type of industry, you're gonna fuck up. So like things like when I'm dropping a article of clothing and I go to screen print it and all the screen prints get messed up, or I notice like some part in the design where it's nicked off and like all the screen prints are messed up now, all the pieces of shirts. I'm like, well, now I gotta front up the money and pay to get all these redone, and I just made $0 on the whole drop, or I made less money now. I owe money. You know what I mean? Things like that. But those mistakes you just learn along the way, and you just don't make them ever again because they just hurt so bad.
Mm,
I've
yeah.
never really messed anything up to where like I lost sleep over it at night though. Thank God.
Yeah, you've got to move on, haven't you? You got to learn from it and move on.
Yeah, that's definitely a skill you need to have if you're gonna do this kind of shit.
because I think when people start out like myself, I get hesitant to even do things because I'm scared
Hmm.
of making the mistakes. So for a person like me, who's just kind of starting a bit more with creative stuff, what sort of tips would you give to overcome the fear of making mistakes?
Uh, don't fear about making mistakes. That's something you should never worry about. I think a lot of the time, I worried about things like how this is going to be perceived more so than like the mistakes I make. Because I know if I make a mistake, that's one easy fix. I could just fix that mistake and then learn from that mistake, and that already feels like success to me. If you make the mistake and then you realize that you made the mistake, you're probably not going to make the mistake again. But I think a big fear or like a tip I could give you as like a creative would be to just keep doing things and stay consistent on it. And if you don't like things, you could always delete things. Because like a lot of time I would wait like a long time before I would drop content because I was fearful of like what people might think, and then it was too late to drop that content, you know? So just keep dropping stuff, keep making stuff, keep getting better, and that's how you will get better. And if you don't like it, hit the archive button.
Hmm. Because well, I'm gonna ask you, what are your thoughts on archiving and deleting old stuff? Because I have my own thoughts, but I'll let you share yours first.
Okay. I have a lot of archived pictures on my Instagram. Um, Things that are old that I don't find as cool as I once did. I never delete. If I have the option to archive, I'll archive because sometimes I'll bring them back. But a big thing is to, a big thing for me, something that's really important is when I look at the front of my feed, when I see all the pictures out there together, that has to look good as well as each individual picture. It's also just as important for each individual picture to look good and the whole feed to look good as a whole. You know, so if this one's off, I'll archive this one just so I can make room for like the pictures to stack correctly, for example.
But going back to being genuine, how do you
Hmm.
make sure you're being genuine in yourself when you're potentially hiding parts of your former self?
Um, when I post things on Instagram, I don't think, I think everything I post is genuine. So when I archive things, I'm not necessarily hiding those things. I'm just making the overall picture look better. So
Okay,
I'm not like hiding my mistakes or anything like that.
yeah.
I just don't like it. I just don't like it anymore. So like when I post something on my story that I feel like could get some bad feedback, or like people will like unfollow me because of it, or like it's judged or something like that, I'll only delete it because I don't like it, not because I fear someone else might not like it.
Hmm.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. I mean, I can understand that perspective. My only thing with I guess the most comparable thing for me is the videos that I have on YouTube. So far I've made 10 videos, nothing too special. But
Mm-hmm.
my goal is to make my goal on my bucket list is to make 100, and I
Mm-hmm.
want to I want to try my best to keep all of them up there. Now, when I go back and look at my first and second and third video, I really don't like them. Like, there's so many mistakes in them. There's things that I can improve on. But for me, what's really important is other people being able to see that this is where he started and now this is where he is now.
Mm-hmm.
The content that I'm making isn't like how to help other people. It's more like just expressions of myself or video essays or things like that. And apart from one cooking video, which is also up there, but I want. How important do you think it is for people to see your old work so that they can understand that your development? Because it's easy to look at somebody like yourself or
Mm-hmm.
any other big fashion brand like Supreme, like you were talking about earlier, and think, oh, look at how well they're doing. Um, this is what I need to be like. But what you don't see is the bits between. You don't see how they got there. So give
Oh,
me
I
your
totally
thoughts on
I
that.
feel that perspective 100%. I do really do feel that perspective. I think there's a lot of strategies to run when it comes to Instagram because when I look at Instagram, I look at it. So I would say like 80% of the people who use Instagram mostly use it for regular social media type of things where they'll just like get in contact with their friends, their family, post little things about their life, blah, 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 blah. I use Instagram as a portfolio of my work for example. You know, so like if my work is outdated, to me, it's outdated. I don't want to showcase my old work if I don't like it anymore. I do feel like the perspective of having your old stuff out there so like people can see where you started. But I think the people who saw where I started, the people who are already there, were supposed to be there, you know, and not anyone who joins now will see like what I have now, you know, because I think a lot of the people who follow me remember the things I used to do, whether it be pictures or like my old clothes or whatever. But I think when people come to see my profile now, they're gonna want to more likely see my best work.
So it has to kind of be more professional.
Yeah, I mean, professional is a funny word to use in this kind of industry.
Yeah.
Because like you almost want to not be professional. You almost want to be like edgy in a certain way. But yeah, I mean like more refined, I would say.
Yeah, that's a good way of putting it. So expanding on that then, how do you make sure you're edgy and you're standing out, but you're not too edgy or too normal? Because that if we had the answer to that, everybody would be killing it. But what's your take on that?
I don't know. I like to push the envelope, honestly. I've gotten near trouble for the things that I've done for Instagram before. I don't do it to get clout. I do it because I get a kick out of like strong juxtaposition. You know what I mean? Like I'll just do things that are like super ironic or like super edgy just because like that's what I want to see on Instagram. You know, like for example, I have a picture. I don't know if you've seen it, but I have a picture of me in the drive-thru with like a gun and like a chicken. Have you seen that picture?
I don't think so, but I'm gonna have to check that one out.
Okay, well, I posted it on Twitter. I never use Twitter, but I was like, fuck it, I'll just post it on Twitter. It's a picture of me in the McDonald's drive-thru with a fake gun. I'm gonna say it's a fake gun. It's a fake gun, holding like this, and I have a baby chick in my hand like this. And if it was a real gun, which it wasn't, it'd be super illegal, right? And I posted it on Twitter. I was like, haha, this is funny. I think it's funny. It blew up. It went viral. In a matter of an hour, I had like 10,000 retweets. And then like by the end of the day, I had like 30,000 retweets and like 190,000 likes.
Bruh.
And I was like, holy shit, I was not expecting that. But, you know, with great power comes great responsibility. I was getting a lot of hate in the comments, a lot of controversy in the comments. That's a real gun. That's super illegal. Blah, blah, blah. And that, going back to what we were talking about, getting in trouble or like making a big mistake, that could have been like my biggest mistake of my life. Thank God it wasn't. But something like that where I'll push the envelope on edge. That's just a prime example of that.
So how did you deal with that sort of feedback?
I liked it. It was interesting. It was cool to like be like in the conversation about that, be like the reason that conversation's been had, because I had no ill intent with the picture at all. I knew where my heart was. You know, I didn't go in there like threatening anyone's lives or like trying to scare anyone or anything. I was literally just going in there trying to take a funny ass picture and get out of there, you know? But people in the comments were like bringing up things like, oh, if like a colored person did this, then this picture would put them in jail, or like, you know, things like you eat meat, but like you're trying to protect this little chick in the picture, stuff like that. I'm like, well, I just do it for the content, honestly, you know? You should take a look at it and then tell me what you think afterwards.
Okay, yeah, I'll do that.
It's a whole thing. It was a whole thing.
I'll do that. What other sorts of things then have you done that kind of pushed the boundary, and how did you find where that boundary is?
So you know, I got a lot of traction for that one, and I was like, I got to keep pushing the envelope. I got to chase this high. So I kept pushing the envelope, and I just posted a picture of me like with the baby filter on. You know, the baby filter on, sucking a titty. And the caption was, I'm eating good. I posted it on Instagram, immediately got deleted. Like within like 0.5 seconds, boom, deleted. I was like, whoa, Was that just like by chance that they caught it so fast? Let me try posting it again. Try to post it again, immediately deleted. And I'm like, and then I get a flag on my account, big ass notification pops up. And it's like, hey, you posted the titty one more time, we're deleting your account. And I'm like, oh, yeah, push the envelope too far on that one. That's an example of pushing it too far. I went too far with that one.
It is
Yeah.
it is a boob though.
But there's no nipple. There's no nipple.
There is somewhere.
But I don't know. I see like models posting like almost nude photos, you know? So I thought it
Yeah.
was cool. I thought it was cool, but started reading the guidelines and it was just like, well, moms are allowed to breastfeed. I looked it up. Moms are allowed to breastfeed on Instagram, but no sexual content. And I was like, that's like a halfway on both, I would say.
I'm presuming it wasn't your mum though.
No, it was not. It was not.
Thank
That'd be
goodness.
insane.
Thank goodness. Thank goodness. Whew. But
Yeah,
yeah,
no.
I definitely get what you mean. There's some double standards there, isn't there, where models or specifically women can get away with a lot more than men on the internet.
Yeah, that's a touchy subject, honestly, because I see a lot of porn star accounts like getting deleted really quick, even if they don't post any porn, just because they're like a porn star or they have like XXX in their name. They'll get flagged and deleted immediately off Instagram. But on Twitter, you could go wild on Twitter.
Yeah.
That's why it's still up on Twitter.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. I just I don't know. I feel like as long as there's no nipple, people are fine with it. But only if it's from certain people.
Yeah, I mean, I was sucking on a titty, so that was pretty sexual, I guess. Instagram's got a crazy titty detector. It's automatic. It was automatic. There's no way there was someone at the computer waiting for a titty to pop
Can you
up.
imagine there's just
no way.
one dude who's just the titty detector?
Just screens and just windows open everywhere.
Oh,
Yeah.
how do you explain your job to your to your family?
I'm just a wannabe creative.
Yeah,
That's what it is. You know, like hopefully like I find so much fulfillment out of the things I do. I have so much fun doing it that like I feel like I'm already successful.
yeah,
You know, that's how I sell the idea to them. I feel like I'm already successful. I feel like I'm already fulfilled. You know, I'm not making a ton of money off this kind of thing. But like the thing about money is it's just the way to get it is all on a formula. Anyone can follow the formula and make money. You know, anyone can do it. You just follow formula, you make the money. But to get things like fulfillment out of your creativity, or like to make art that you really fuck with, or to be a part of a community that like welcomes your ideas and shit like that. That's like priceless. You know what I mean? You can't just get that. You can't just go to school to get that. You can't just like follow the formula to get that, you know?
So I've got a couple of questions here. The first one, though, probably the most important. How did you get that then? Because you say you can't. It's not something you just learn like that from a video or from school. So how did you get that?
The ability to find fulfillment in the things you do is not something that can be taught, I guess. Like I just knew deep down in my heart that I wanted to like push my creative boundaries. I just knew that I wanted to do that, whether I was going to make money off it or not. Like I just found fulfillment doing that, you know? And like, if you don't find fulfillment doing that and you're just trying to, for example, start a clothing company to make money, it's never going to work. You're never going to be fulfilled. That's just another job. I never wanted to get a job, you know? I wanted to follow my dreams. So like, you have to really know it within yourself that that's what you want to do. And like the fulfillment will come as you start to make things that you fuck with.
And then the other thing is, what's this formula that you were referring to when it comes to making money?
The money formula?
Yeah.
I mean, there's a wide range of formulas. You know, you could go, trade your time for money. You get paid an hourly rate. Go work a job 9 to 5. That's a formula to make money. Or there's another formula to make money. You get into stocks, or you invest your money. That's another formula to make money. Or now, there's things going on like drop shipping or like Amazon, blah, blah, blah. That's another way to make a lot of money, selling drugs, whatever. There's all sorts of ways to make money. And that's always like the pinnacle of like what people think success is to make a lot of money, drive a nice car, have a big house. But there's no formula to this like the creativity shit.
So what does success look like to you then? Because you say that you're already successful, so what does that mean?
I can give you examples of that. Like I have like a chosen family where I'll choose my best friends who are now like family to me forever. You know, like I feel like the fun that I have with my friends and like the good times and the quality time is priceless. And no, I forget, but a lot of people don't get that same opportunity. You know, a lot of people don't get that same opportunity to have a huge group of friends that all love each other and like have a great time together, never drama, stuff like that. You know, like I take that for granted sometimes. And I have like a loving family. I have like a roof over my head. You know, as long as you got a roof over your head, you're pretty good to go, you know? And like I have a phone that I could go on Instagram on and like express myself on. You know, and I have things like, I don't know, the like a creative mind, so I like believe I could do what I want to do. You know? But like the only thing I really don't have is a lot of money. And that's formula driven. So that's what I mean by I have everything that I need in life. I already found success. I already found fulfillment in the things I love to do. And all I need to get is the money, which I have a lot of time for. A lot of time for.
How old are you, by the way?
I'm 23.
23. Oh, you're still young as hell then.
Yeah. Getting older. I don't know. I'm not as young as I was when I was running around LA, but I think right now is like the prime time. As I get older, I get wiser, and like that sounds corny, but when you get wiser, like your perspective on life changes vastly.
So how has your perspective on life changed as you've got older?
Like I was talking about earlier, how I value different things like clout and money and like how to be the richest or like whatever. But now I value things that are way more important, like experiences, relationships, you know, stuff like that. You know, learning things about yourself, like your inner self, your third eye self, for example, or something like that, where you don't realize these things when you're younger and you're so like new to life and like haven't touched the outside world yet, like before you go to university, for example, that you forget that like you have to get in touch with yourself as well. So things like that, you know. I was so like superficial about life unknowingly, but now I'm like realizing the things that I want in life and the things that are important. So yeah.
I mean, a lot of people when they get to around about my age, 18, we have to make these decisions like you did, whether you go to university or you go here, go there. And for me at least, I've spent the last 3 months alone, as in like away from my family for the first time, and I've had to, you know, make friends with new people, and it's been difficult with COVID and stuff like that. And I've found ways of connecting with myself and exploring what I want to do, blah 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 blah. But what sort of things did you do to sort of come to those sort of realizations? And what sort of things did you work on to kind of get in touch with who you think you really are?
A lot of the things have to come with like loss. For example, like loss of love, where like you'll be like with a person or something like that and be in a relationship, and then when that relationship breaks, you're forced to learn about yourself. You know, you're forced to be alone and then learn like about the things that can make you happy now that don't involve like that other party. You know what I mean? Or like I would meditate a lot, and like when I meditate, I don't know if I meditate correctly, to be honest, but I'll put my headphones on and I'll blast my favorite songs full volume, and I'll close my eyes and I'll envision where I want to be, you know, not like what I want to do, not like I want to like make a lot of money in like the stock market. No. I envision where I want to be. I imagine myself like on stage dancing like as a rock star, for example, or like being in a huge glass house with glass walls and glass windows everywhere with like my friends in the middle of a forest, listening to our favorite music, you know? I'll envision that kind of thing, and then I realize that, well, that's where I need to be, and like I can't really have it any other way. That's like what I'm going for. What was the question again? I think I got off topic on that one.
No. The question was basically what sort of things did you do to kind of discover yourself?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Do a lot of meditation, and I call it the Rockstar mode. Put your headphones on, blast your music, dance in your room with your eyes closed, and just envision where you want to be.
It's still a form of meditation, isn't it? At the
I
end of the
think, I
day.
mean, it's therapeutic. It's therapeutic
Yeah.
at the very least, you know?
I mean, I'll be the first one to admit there's nothing better than putting headphones on and just dancing in the mirror, man.
Right?
It
Like,
feels
that's the
so good.
Rockstar mode.
Yeah.
That's the Rockstar mode.
Yeah, you feel like you're just unbelievably famous. You've got all these people around you, like, yeah, let's go, and then you're like
Yes.
dancing and doing all these moves that if I videoed myself, I'd look back and think, what the hell is that move?
Yeah.
But when you're in the
Dance
moment, you're
moves.
like, yeah, this is the best dance move I've ever done in my life. Whew.
That's
Yeah.
exactly how it is. Dance moves
Yeah.
I would never do in front of anyone else.
Yeah.
But I feel like I'm killing it in the mirror. I'm killing it. I'm killing it for the
You
imaginary
do like some
crowd.
sort of like weird shake with your leg and your head at the same time, and you're like,
Yeah.
oh, this thing's crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah. So other than Rockstar mode, what sort of other things did you do? Did you read books? Did you, go on hikes? Did you what are the things that other people do? Did you do? Or was it just Rockstar mode?
Rockstar mode is the main one to like discover things about myself, but a lot of just thinking and sitting. Honestly, I feel like a lot of people don't take the time to sit and think and like work through like the demons in their heads or whatever, like self-doubt and things like that. Self-doubt is like a really big one. I feel like most people like don't want to admit that one, but self-doubt is like the biggest one. At least it was for me, But once you get into this mindset of that anything is possible as long as you really, really want it. As corny as that is, like everything's possible out there. You can really get it if you really want it, And that's gonna help you like battle your self-doubt. You'll always have self-doubt. It's always gonna be a thing. But as long as you continuously work to battle against it, I think that you can literally do whatever you want in this life. Do you believe that?
I don't know. That's my honest answer. Because part of me believes that yes, with the interconnectedness that we have today, and how fortunate I've been, as in like, I grew up in a first world country. My family are well off. I'm chilling. My situation is better than 95% of the world, right? And it's probably not that. It's probably very similar for you. And we've kind of been taught that we can do anything, but there is always that insecurity in you that kind of doubts your ability to do things. Because I feel a little bit like you, as in when you were talking about the photography stuff, like I don't know that much about video stuff or editing or podcasts. I'm just doing it. But because I know so little about it, there's a bit of doubt in me and a bit of insecurity where I'm like, is this good enough?
Well, I think you have to have this balance of thinking that you could do anything you want, but also having a threshold of fulfillment, like I was talking before, about having that like initial success where like you already know you're successful up to this point because you have the things to make you like happy in life. And then you have this other feeling of thinking that you could do anything. And when those two things are balanced, it's like you can't have it any other way. That's like the best mindset to have. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because I've also been in the position where like, oh, fuck, man, I'm dropping out of college and I come from like a upper middle class family. And like now I either am going to be poorer than my parents, make less money than them, or I'm going to have to make more money than them. And that's like a hard thing to do, like coming into like your new adult life. Like if you come from a poor family, at least you have the opportunity, like an easier opportunity to get past being just poor. And if you come from a super rich family, you're almost guaranteed to be rich forever because like your family's super rich. They're gonna like give you they're gonna give you opportunities. But if you come from that middle area, it's a tough one to come from. I'm not saying like it's harder than being poor, but it has its own issues.
It has its own challenges, doesn't it? Because
right.
You, as spoiled as this sounds, you don't have daddy's money or whatever they call it, but at the same time you don't have the struggle, and you don't have like, this is going to sound really disrespectful, but like
no
it's not the same situation, is it? It's not the same situation, and it comes with its own challenges.
Because like if you're poor, if you come from a poor family, like not saying you have as much as opportunities as like a middle class or upper class family, but at least you know like it's the hump of getting over that is going to be lower. You know, like the hump of trying to reach like a rich family's income is like tough to do when you're like 18 and you're like, holy shit, I got to do that in like the next 5 years, or else I'm going to be
Yeah,
a failure to my family. You know?
yeah, yeah. I get you. So basically, what we're trying to say, well, what I think you're trying to say is that the amount of success and progress that you have to make from 18 to 25 when you're from like a middle class family that wants their children to be really rich and well off is a lot higher, and like the
Right.
bar is a lot higher,
Right.
potentially. Yeah,
Yeah, the expectation for it is a lot higher, at least.
yeah,
You know, and like that's something to say for people always want to talk about how it's easier for like a kid from upper middle class, or upper class family to like make it in life. But there's a lot of different pressures that come along with that too that other people
yeah.
don't understand, you know?
I get that, and I guess that we aren't, thankfully we're not from too poor of a background, and I guess we're
Hmm.
not in the most qualified position to talk about that. But what we can talk about is how our lives have been, and kind of play the victim and be like, well, actually, although it seems from your perspective that this is pretty decent, there are problems that come
Yeah.
with it too. Um,
Yeah. In no way we're complaining about our lives right now,
no, no, no.
everyone. Yeah.
It's just like these are the challenges that we've had. When it comes to
Right,
the
yeah.
expectation thing, because I have incredibly high expectations of myself,
Right.
probably instilled in me from my family, maybe similar to you,
Hmm.
where like I've been given really high standards, and when you do something, you do it to the best of your ability, no matter what, and as long as you've done your best, then nothing else matters. And
Hmm.
they want you to be successful. They want you to use your brain, use your things that you've got, blah 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 blah. And like it's tough. Like you have all these expectations from yourself and your family where you're like, I have to do well. You feel as though you have all these obligations and these things to fulfill.
Hmm.
So
Hmm.
what sort of things did you do to deal with them sort of high expectations?
Honestly, it was like a weird cycle, I guess. I stopped giving a fuck, really. I stopped giving a fuck about what other people thought. And like it got to the point where I stopped giving a fuck about what my family thought. And although that sounds negative, I'm gonna bring it back to what I said before. Although that sounds negative, I know like at the end of the day, my parents just want me to be happy and to be fulfilled and do what I want to do in life. So like on the surface, they might like not like what I do or like be worried about me, but deep down on their deathbed or on my deathbed or whatever, we both know that the most important thing was to be a good person and to be fulfilled, be happy, you know? So those expectations didn't affect me too much. But I
Mm.
just stopped giving a fuck. Really.
Quite,
Honestly,
yeah. To
yeah.
be as polite as possible. That's the best way to put it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. That's fair enough.
Do you deal with high expectations? Do you feel pressured in that
I
way?
mean, I'm still quite young. Like I'm 18, so it's difficult for me to say that because I've only really been like alone for 3 months, and even then, like I've been financially supported by my parents and things like that. So, but yeah, I definitely have very high expectations upon me from, like I was saying, from myself and my family.
Hmm.
I feel as though I want to be successful, but it's comes back to what we were talking about before, redefining what success is on an individual
Right.
basis. Because with you, for example, success is having fulfillment, having doing the things that you want to, and being happy, having a good chosen family that of great people around you. And this is definitely something I need to make a video on. The success that is kind of perceived throughout society is you have a nice house, a beautiful woman, a nice
Hmm.
2 or 3 kids, and you're going on
Hmm.
holidays four times a year, and
Yeah.
blah 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 blah. And as nice as that sounds, it's very far away, and it just doesn't seem to resonate that much with, from what I've seen, a lot of the younger generation. Like we're like, why am I gonna want to be chilling on a beach for like hours and days and days and days, drinking when I'm like 50 years old and have worked my whole 20s, 30s, and 40s, worked my ass off to get there. Like,
Yeah.
that doesn't make
Yeah.
any sense to me. That doesn't make any sense to me. Why would I want to be saving until my retirement to the point where, oh yeah, I've got loads
No.
of time, loads of money, but I'm old and frail and I can't even move around properly and I'm ill. Like, it doesn't make
Yeah.
sense to just save all my money for then, to me at least.
Yeah, no, we're still gonna do all that. We're still gonna go on 4 vacations a year. We're still gonna have a nice big house and a nice car. Me and you, we're both gonna have that. But that's not at the forefront of our drive.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
know?
I guess not. When it comes to defining success, why do you think there's such a big divide between how a lot of young people define success and how a lot of the older generations do?
I think the internet has a big part in that play, I think. Like when you can go online and you can see kids like us, kids our age, like finding success through the things they do on the internet. It's a clear divide from like what regular success in society looks like, you know? So I think everyone has a phone now. Everyone has Instagram. You could literally just open up your Explore app and see a successful kid our age, right? Like on your front page. You know what I mean? So I think that's why kids our age feel that way, and that's why parents don't feel that way because they don't get to see that every single time they open their phone.
But then how do you make that affect you positively instead of negatively? And what I mean by that is when it comes to the older generation, there's a lot of like keeping up with the Joneses and, they have this car, they have that, so we have to have that. How do we make it so that we're inspired by them people as opposed to jealous or envious of what they have and that what we don't have?
It's all a mental battle within yourself. Like this whole life is really, as long as you try to keep those positive mindsets, you'll be able to draw the positive things from the situation. It's easy to like feel shitty about the things, but it takes like strength to find the positives out of a situation like that. You can find inspiration from someone. So I mean, you just have to find it in yourself. Honestly, there's no game plan for that. You just have to dig within your own insecurities and demons and try to look at life as positively as possible.
Sorry, I think the connection was cutting out a little bit there, but I got the main message that you're trying to get across.
Yeah. I said, do you feel feeling envious of people
Oh
on the
no,
internet?
no. I actually
Good.
was surprised when I first started hearing about this because I've never really been jealous of other people. I mean, my mum and dad raised me to like be happy for people as opposed to be envious of them, and I've always been like that. Like when somebody else gets something nice or does something or they're sharing something that's great, like I'm like, wow, that's awesome. I'm happy for you. And then I started hearing that a lot of people compare themselves in a negative way to people on social media, and they're like, oh, I want to be like that person. Why isn't my life like this? And then I started to realize, because I never used to understand why people always put on this perceived image of happiness on their social medias. But then I started to realize that like all they're trying to do is show their highlights so that their lives seem so much better than they actually are. And I started to realize how kind of depressing that was and how that stemmed from
Yeah.
insecurity and how it stemmed from wanting to be better than other people, which is completely against how I view social media. I view social media as a way to express yourself and a way to put your artwork almost like a gallery or like a little bit like a portfolio. Yeah. A gallery of yourself and your thoughts and your the things that you want to make or put out there to the world. But I think a lot of youngsters and people in the older generations as well, actually, they just see it as a competition who can have the best life, which is really sad.
Yeah. When you even look at it from like a creative's perspective, you'll see like, or like a brand owner's perspective, you'll see other brands doing really cool stuff stuff that I could never think of. And I'm like, give a little, oh, wow, they're good. I couldn't do that. I don't have the skills to do that. But at the same time, you could find inspiration from those things and like realize that something like that made them happy because they made it from their heart or they made it from their hard work. And you could do the same. It might not be the same work, but it could be your style of that. And you could still find the same fulfillment. That's how I had to look at it when I was feeling envious of like another creative's work, for example, apart from like the whole flexing on Instagram, like faking your life on Instagram type of thing.
The whole Dan Bilzerian lifestyle.
Yeah. None of that.
Yeah, that doesn't. Again, like even really, really rich lifestyles, that just doesn't appeal to me. But maybe that's because I'm not a very materialistic person.
That's good, man.
Yeah.
That's the
Well,
first step.
I mean, I don't think I am. Like, stuff doesn't bring me much happiness on its own. So,
Hmm.
I don't know.
Yeah, my psychology teacher taught me in high school that if you make a lot of money, the best things to spend money on are experiences. That's like what you're gonna remember. That's what's gonna mean the most to you. And that one stuck. That one stuck a lot. And that's the moment where I made the connection of success isn't about the material. Because when you're young, that's all you think about. You never think about like not having friends when you're older, like because you're in high school, you know, or like not feeling fulfillment. You're in high school. You don't even know what fulfillment is. You know what I mean? But like that made me that clicked something in my head where I was like, gotta spend it on experiences. That's what you're gonna remember. You know?
Yeah. So what sort of experiences are they? Are they like more extravagant experiences, or are they just like everyday things?
I got a good example. Back in 2017, I got the opportunity to go to Lil Peep's house before he passed, and that was like right when I was getting into this kind of culture, and it felt really cool to be like injected into the culture like that, like directly right there in the heart of LA at Lil Peep's house. I go, I'm excited. I have my camera out. Charlie took me. I go inside the house. I see like all my favorite rappers there at the time. See Cold Heart. I see Lil Tracy. See Lil Peep. You know. I see like, I walk into Lil Peep's house, and Lil Peep sitting on the couch with two girls under his arm. One of the girls I didn't recognize, and the other girl was like the girl from one of his music videos. Forget what music video it was. It was a song with Lil Tracy, but um, I was like, whoa, this is insane. Like, you never realize like how real someone is until you meet them in person. You know, you're like, well, I've only seen you on the internet. This is insane. Um, I don't know. I meet all my favorite rappers. I shake Lil Peep's hand. He introduces me. He welcomes me into his house. This is like a small get together. This is like just Goth Boy Click there. I'm like, this is so cool. And then like I go to shake another rapper's hand. I'm gonna leave him unnamed, but someone I listen to on a regular basis. I go to shake his hand. He doesn't dap me up. He like stands there like this and doesn't dap me up. And I was like, and like my friend had to come up, like Charlie had to come and say, hey, yo, like dap him up or like nudge him a little bit to like dap me up because it was like super awkward, you know? And like it just after that day, it was such like a defining moment in my life because I walked into Lil Peep's house and he welcomed me with open arms. This guy was like the biggest guy in the game. He was like the king of the underground, you know? Like he welcomed me. Hey, I'm Peep. Nice to meet you. And then I go to shake this other rapper's hand and he like blew me off and he dissed me. And this rapper is way smaller than Lil Peep. Just someone I was a fan of, but like not at the same level as Lil Peep. And like it was such like a defining experience because someone so big was still so welcoming and someone like way smaller was like a dick to me. And that's like what this game is about, you know? And that's a part of like trying to gain the most genuine people in your life or like finding the most genuine experiences because that's what's gonna stick, you know?
Mm.
That it was really cool. And Lil Peep like passed away not too long after that, so like it just really hit home. I was like, wow, I love that guy. Lil Peep's a great guy.
Yeah, yeah. So how do you think people can manage to keep their ego in check? Because clearly Lil Peep, was very humble, very welcoming, and was like, "Yeah, I've
Hmm.
never met you before. Welcome to the crib," And the other
Yeah.
guy wasn't so humble and welcoming. So how do you make sure that you keep your ego in check?
That's a tough one, man. So you have to find a balance between confidence and ego, and those can get twisted, especially when you're like on the rise in this kind of scene. Um, I think a lot of it is also the culture that you're a part of. This rap culture shit is kind of like aggressive and kind of like like a hierarchy, you know? So like there's a lot of ego that could stem from that, negative ego that could stem from that. But I don't know, man. It just has to be in the way that you see life and like the opportunities that will come because the more egotistical you are, the the worse experiences you're gonna have. The less amount of opportunities you're gonna get, you know? Which proved right there. Lil Peep was huge. This guy was not huge. And that guy must have been acting that way to anyone who was smaller than him up to that point. And Lil Peep must have had welcoming arms to anyone who was smaller than him to get to that point, you know? So something like that.
Yeah, yeah, that makes sense. I mean, on a kind of similar note, like the way that I met Jake,
Hmm.
Seaggs, the guy I interviewed for our listeners, I interviewed him on the second one that was going to be released. Was literally just in a Discord call. A guy called Jake just joins the server and he starts talking about this
Hmm.
brand that he's working on, and I'm like, oh, what's this about? What's that? Everybody else is like playing Minecraft or something like that, and then me and Jake are just having this random conversation. I'm just genuinely interested in what's going on, and then like about 10 minutes into the conversation, I'm like, oh, have you got like an Instagram page for your brand or something like that? And he goes, oh yeah, it's Seaggs, and I'm like, oh, this is like a guy I've been following on Instagram for like a year,
Yeah. Oh, you
and
knew him already?
well, I knew him from Instagram. So like I've been following his stuff for probably around about a year. Been looking at his hoodies. I remember he dropped like
That's
this
really
space
cool.
themed collection, and I was like, oh my goodness, them hoodies are
Yeah,
so
the NASA
sick.
shit. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah. That
yeah,
shit
they were
was
so
sick.
unique and so sick. And then I like just from being nice, I managed to meet him and then get him on the podcast, and then now I'm meeting you and things like that. And it just goes to show that being genuinely interested in people and just kind of being kind and can
That's
really
really
get you
sick. Holy
places.
shit.
Yeah, yeah.
So like, are you into fashion?
Well, I have an interest in it. Yeah, I don't really buy much stuff myself.
Hmm.
Because like I said, I'm not that much of a materialistic person, but I can definitely appreciate the time and the effort and the kind of artistic value of some fashion designers and their pieces and things like that. Um,
That's cool.
and so being able to connect with so many people through the internet is just awesome. It's really really awesome.
Yeah, bro. I have like this group chat that I started. It's the Sentiments group chat. Sentiments is my brand, and I started it like initially just to like like have a small group of friends come together so we could share clothing ideas or whatever. Then it started growing bigger and bigger, started growing bigger and bigger, and now it's just like a full community of like we don't even talk about clothes. So very rarely we will, but it's just like kids will come in there and say good morning, and like the other kids will say good morning, and then some kids will say good night, and they'll have conversations about their family and their life and what they did that day. And it's just I was like, whoa, this grew into like what I want the brand to be, not just clothes. I don't even want it to be about clothes. I want it to be about a community.
Yeah,
So,
yeah,
then like that just goes to show that the internet is like able to connect people on that level where you can become family and friends just by texting. They don't even know what each other look like, you know? It's
yeah.
crazy.
Yeah, I mean, the sort of the whole reason that I'm kind of into this, well, got to know a lot of fashion people is through, do you know Vital Studios?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, their Discord server, I joined that Discord server, just started chilling with people, and they formed like a little bit of a community, a bit like Sentiments did,
Hmm.
and then eventually got to know more and more people, got to know Diego and things like that, and through there just got to know more and more people, and it's a really nice feeling being able to have people through the internet that that kind of you can speak to, you can talk about your day, and you can kind of connect with in a
Yeah.
different way to the people that you have in real life, especially for a lot of kids who don't have that many in real life friends. Because I know that there's a decent amount of people
Right.
who struggle to have like genuine friends, and because a lot of them are going through that high school college kind of phase,
Hmm.
a lot of people are just trying to be the most popular or dealing with girls and things like that. So it is really nice to have like genuine communities that care about each other.
Oh, for sure, man. I've been valuing internet relationships for like all my life. I was like a MMORPG gamer when I was a young kid, you know? So like I would have a little character on my game and like build a community of friends like on the game. They don't know what I look like. I'm like an 8-year-old kid playing this game, but like I have an avatar that they know, you know, and I know their avatar. So it's like it's interesting how this has evolved like over time where like World of Warcraft can like you can make friends over that. People are getting married over that kind of stuff. And now we have like Instagram and Twitter where like people can get married over that stuff, you know? It's really cool. I mean, like I love the internet. There's a lot to say about social media and how negative it can be perceived. But and there are a lot of negative things about it. But at the same time, like the opportunities that it brings you in terms of relationships can be priceless.
100%, 100%. I mean,
Yeah.
my first episode with Reno, I literally just DM'd him. That was it. He put something on his
That's
story.
crazy, honestly.
He well, it was kind of like that. Beforehand, I was like talking to him through a few DMs, did a bunch of YouTube thumbnails that were absolutely terrible for him, that he didn't like, and then just kind of talked to him here and there. And then he put something on his story saying, "Yo, anybody want to give me the platform to speak?" I replied, not even having a podcast yet, just wanting to set one up. And I was like, "Yeah, let's do it." And he was like, "Okay." And he had the kindness,
See?
like, with me at, like, without even having a podcast page, literally just 450 followers. I'm a nobody when it comes to, like, social media's terms. Just was straight up like, yeah, let's do it. And that's made me
Dude, what
respect
a
him
guy.
so much more. And hopefully a lot of the people who did listen to that episode can understand that this guy is he's just something else, man. He's just
Dude,
awesome.
that kid is incredible. Incredible.
awesome.
I was like, when I first found him, I was like, 16? You're 16? What? That doesn't even make sense. I was
He's
like,
just
so
awesome.
he's such a big inspiration to me, and I know he's a big inspiration to a lot of other people who are older than him,
100%.
which is very powerful, which is very, very powerful.
I mean, and that's the thing, like, he's found meaning, he's found fulfillment through helping people. And I really don't think he kind of realizes how much he does help people, because someone like myself, like, a lot of his YouTube videos are about improving yourself, and the way that he lays things out is so much better than anybody else. And it's the same for a lot of young people out there. So I'm really grateful. Reno, if you're ever listening to this, you're the man.
Yeah, shout out to Reno,
You're such
man.
a great
You're a
man.
cool guy.
Such a
You're a
great
guy.
Yeah. So let's go back onto the social media thing. I'm trying to think of a different, like a new way to intentionally use social media, because I find myself scrolling on it and just wasting a lot of time. So what sort of things do you think are good about social media, and what sort of things do you think are bad?
I don't know, like Kanye said, it's about intent, not content, you know? So, good things about social media, inspiration, number one. Find a lot of inspiration, creativity on social media. Building good relationships on social media. That everything's connected to the internet now. Like, internet friends are just as good as real friends at this point, you know, as real life friends. I mean, everything's real, but validation is like in the middle. If this is a pie chart, validation's like in the middle portion of that. You know, like, finding validation could boost your motivation. If people are fucking with your work, then, like, it makes it easier to keep doing that kind of work. But validation could also be negative in a way where, if you look too much into the validation, or you look forward to too much validation, then you could be disappointed or disheartened if you don't get that kind of validation. So that could be, like, bad and good. The bad things about social media, you could find yourself in a hole of negativity if you don't, like, follow the right things, or you could put yourself in a position to feel jealous, like we were talking about earlier. And also, social media is kind of funky because, in terms of the platforms, it's all run by businesses. You know, it's very business oriented now. So, like, if you're not using it for, like, if you're not putting a lot of money into it and you're not using it for business reasons, social media can be, like, not what it's meant for anymore. So how do you feel about social media, good and bad?
I mean, there's so many positives that we've kind of brushed over. You know, there's the connections that you can make, which is just, they're priceless. They're priceless. And, you know, before you'd have to maybe find somebody's real address and send them a letter, but I can literally just find your account, like I did with you, like literally with you. I just found your account, DM'd you, and that was it. That was it. Like, we connected through that, and that's just so priceless. And I think people just wildly underrate the value of being able to connect with people that quickly. And that's probably the main positive that I found for me. The negatives are, when it comes to myself at least, addiction. Like, I just find myself getting into these rabbit holes where I'm like, sometimes for a couple of minutes, sometimes for hours, like, I'll just scroll aimlessly, because I just get into this zone where I'm like, zombie mode, scroll, and that can't be good for us. That really can't be good for us, because we're not wired. We haven't evolved to just look at this piece of technology that's in our friggin' phone, in our hand, for hours and hours a day. Like, that's not how we're supposed to be living. We have impulses, we have urges, we have needs that need to be fulfilled that I just don't think they're fulfilled when we look at our phones too much. I guess that's more of a technology thing as opposed to just social media. And then the other main negative thing is the comparison thing that we're kind of touching upon earlier. I mean, especially for younger kids, I'm quite grateful that my parents kept me off social media until I was a little bit older, because I see a lot of like 10, 11, 12-year-olds using social media now, and it must be so damaging to their self-esteem and their confidence, because you constantly just have these highlight reels. Like, there's literally things called highlights where people just post like all the holidays that they've been on, or the nice times they went ice skating with their friends and the concerts. And when you're constantly just having all of your friends or like people that you know or people that you think you know showing these wonderful, incredible lives full of all this beautiful stuff, and it's so exciting and perfect, like, you must just look at yourself and think, oh, I'm just shit. I'm just nothing compared to these people. I'm nowhere near as pretty, even though the other person's more insecure using certain filters, and my life is nowhere near as exciting when they're, you know, and you don't know the other person's true situation. You just get to see the thing you just know it for what they're trying to show you and what they're trying to tell you, but you don't get to know the bits between.
That's true, man. Shit like that. I don't really know how I feel about that, honestly, because as someone who's very keen to social media, I almost already assume that when I see things like that, I don't let it affect me too much, because I could assume that everyone has the bits between as well, you know?
But you're 23.
That's true. Yeah, that's true.
When you're 13, 10 years ago, if you had social media, you won't be thinking like that. And that's what really worries me.
That's true. I never really thought about it like that, because I was like, yeah, I used MySpace back then and this and that when I was a kid. But now times have changed. Times have changed for sure. There was no stories on MySpace. There's no this or that. Like, I get it now. Like, I've never really thought about it in a way of in the eyes of like a young person, you know, even like 17, even your age, honestly. Yeah. I've been looking at social media like straight for 5 years at this point, and grown, trained my mind to look at it in the way I want to look at it. But like someone who's just getting into it, for example, 17-year-old who's just trying to start their creative journey, it probably takes a larger toll on that, you know?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Well, before we wrap this up, I'm going to ask you a few quick fire questions, and then
let's do it.
We'll finish off. So, number one, what do you think sets you apart from everybody else?
What sets me apart? I keep it real. I try to stay as genuine as possible. And like we've been talking about social media and content creation and all these things, but when it comes to that specifically, I'll keep it real the entire time. And I never let outside forces really affect the decisions I make. So, yeah.
One quote to really quickly sum that up is, it's not about not caring about what other people think. It's about not letting what other people think affect what you do.
Yeah, because I mean, you do have to care about what other people think, especially if you're going to try to sell something or like make clothes or whatever. But you can't let it affect you in a way that it's not constructive.
100%.
Yeah.
Next question. How much of the success that you've had, and it seems that you've had a lot of success and you view yourself as successful, how much of the success that you've had is down to your hard work, and how much of it is down to chance?
Oh, luck versus hard work. I do have to say that I am lucky enough to be in the position like I am in terms of location. Like, I've met these people that I've met because I'm in the location I'm in, or like I'm at the right place at the right time. But I was the one who took the initiative to make that connection. So it's an even balance of both. I think everyone has that even balance of both, though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Can't get one without the other, I guess.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. And final question: if you had everybody in the entire world in front of you right now listening to this podcast, what would your message be?
Do whatever the fuck you want. That's my message. Do whatever the fuck you want. You never know how much time you're going to have left. So do what you want to do.
Awesome. Well, thank you very much, Chich, for coming on the show.
Yeah, thanks for having me, man.
If people want to find your work, where can they go?
You can go to my page at Chich, CHICH.1997. That's on Instagram. And then if you want to go on Twitter, just do an underscore instead of a period.
Awesome. Thanks again for coming on the show, man.
Thank you, man.